first, I just want, we'll just start with Jackie and just everybody introduce themselves in the company that you're from. Jackie?
My name is Jackie Yoder. I am the CEO for Wilde Wealth Management Group, and our headquarters is in Scottsdale, Arizona.
Hi, I'm Margaret Paddock, and I am the Director of Sales for Desert Financial Wealth Management.
Hi, I'm Annabelle Whiting, and I'm the Market Director for PNC's Institutional Asset Management business, most recently a private banker in our wealth management team.
Okay, we'll get started. So women are now, they control the majority of the wealth in the world. How has that impacted the wealth management world? Jackie?
I would say overall it has been a big shift, right? That used to be where you would see a lot of the husbands and wives come in, and the husbands were the ones that kind of knew everything that was in that portfolio. And now that's changing a lot, especially with, I would say in general, just women kind of not getting married as much. Also the high divorce rate as well. You see a lot of women coming in and just kind of taking control of that. And then obviously throughout time, we're going to see an increase in that with the baby boomer era kind of coming to longer term there.
Does wealth management for women differ from wealth management for men?
Yes, and I'm just speaking generally, right? So it differs in a couple of ways. The first is that females tend to be a little bit more conservative in their investing style, which for me is counterintuitive because women live longer. Sorry, guys. But we do. And so they should be invested a little bit more aggressively than their male counterpart. And it's actually the opposite. They tend to be more conservative with their investing. So that can be problematic because there are times that then their assets won't keep up with their longevity. And so that's that can be an issue for women.
Are there any other issues that you see women tend to gravitate towards that they shouldn't be when it comes to wealth management?
Yes, I would also say that they tend to put the finances on their male counterpart primarily. Now, 2/3 of the decisions based on finances is done by the male in the household and only 1/3 by the female. But as you mentioned, more of the assets are going to be in the hands or are in the hands of women. So women need to really focus on learning about finances. It might not be something that they're necessarily all that interested in. There's lots of things that I have to learn about that I'm not necessarily interested in. But it is really important that they have some knowledge base on what's going on with their finances so they can make an informed decision for themselves.
Annabelle, she mentioned a little bit about financial education. How important is financial education, not only just for women, but for everybody in general?
It's extremely important throughout, at any stage in our life. Understanding money and our relationship with money, it's critical to funding our lifestyle and planning for every eventuality. I think our financial education should start at a very early age. I'm a big proponent of teaching financial literacy in school. And I think it doesn't matter what stage you are in your wealth life cycle. I think it's really important to understand how to get your financial house in order, understand what your current snapshot of net worth might look like. So that's understanding your financial statement. It's building a balance sheet, understanding your assets and liabilities, and really taking stock of your net worth. And you can start that as early as at school age. But as we get older, it's important to make sure we're educated about all the tools and resources available to us, what's available for saving for healthcare or for education. There's a lot of information out there, and it certainly helps to get educated and talk to a professional about what options you might have. It's extremely important to be educated about financial situation.
Jackie, this is another question that could really go for everybody, but we'll try to focus more on women. How do women know if they're saving enough money for retirement?
I think this is a piece where women kind of, I guess like you said, they're not as educated with it, but women tend to kind of forget that we are the ones that kind of step back whenever the children need to be taken care of, or even, their parents, whatever that looks like. And so for women, it's actually a little different in trying to figure out how much they need, because there tends to be a high rate of gaps in women's employment. And so just taking a big picture of that, but also at the end, obviously women, like you said, live longer, and accounting for, do they need to get that long-term care, or do they have enough in their assets in their portfolio? So there's a lot of factors when it comes to looking at what they will actually need to get through retirement.
So what are some of those factors that they should be looking at when they're trying to decide how much do I need to save in order to maintain my lifestyle like I've known it for my whole life?
Yeah, so that's the magic question, right? Because what might be enough for me might not be enough for you or for Annabelle. So first they need to determine what, realistically speaking, is how do I want to go into my golden years? Do I want to leave a legacy for my children or my church or philanthropically? So once they have decided what realistically they would like to have their retirement look like, from there you have a plan. You hire someone who's either a financial planner or a financial advisor, and work with them to develop a plan and stick to the plan, have it reviewed at least annually. Life does not, run on a straight line. There are lots of external factors like taxes and law changes that can impact a financial plan, as well as obviously life, right? So life is messy, life changes. So those types of things need to be taken into account along that journey of financial planning.
Okay, here's a magic question. And everybody probably wonders this. Annabelle, is it ever too late to start planning? What if you put this off for forever? Is it ever too late to start planning your financial future?
No, it's never too late to start planning. Whether you have had a financial plan in place for years, or if you're just getting your arms around what your situation looks like, there's always something you can do. So understanding what your cash flow looks like and where you might be able to allocate funds to meet certain goals is a great way to start. As Margaret and Jackie have both said, a lot of the times women step back and defer, or at least allow financial division of labor based on gender and their households, and they focus their attention on other things. It's never too late to get involved and get started on the planning. Women do tend to be more conservative in their investments, and I'd say generally we're probably very good savers. More than our male counterparts, we tend to sit in cash, and that in itself is making an investment decision. If you're making an allocation to cash, it's never too late to figure out how to put some of that cash to a higher or better use. It's never too late to get started.
Are there, Margaret, are there mistakes that you see women make over and over again when it comes to financial planning that you would like to see them start correcting?
Yeah, a couple things. I would say own it, become educated when it comes to your finances. Be an active participant in it. So even friends and family members that I have talked into putting together a financial plan, working with a financial advisor, they tend to just tell the advisor, just you do what's best. I don't need to learn about all that. You're the professional. Well, that's true, but it is important that you take ownership of your financial self-sufficiency, and that you, because that way, if things go awry along the way, you will have a better chance of correcting it. So it really is important that they're educated along the way.
Jackie, when we're talking about like healthcare and long-term care, how do you factor that into your financial planning?
That's, it's going to be different for everyone, obviously. But if, you have a goal of wanting to retire early, you have that gap that you need to account for that healthcare. Same with long-term care. If if it's just you and your husband and 9 chances out of 10, you're going to live longer than him and you don't have children, you're going to have to figure that out and really take a deep dive into, do I need to actually purchase the long-term care? Or do I have the assets that I'm comfortable, I'm good, I don't actually need to get the long-term care? And that's going to look different for everyone. But I would say a majority of the time, I think a lot of people feel comfortable getting the long-term care as just that safety blanket. So,
Margaret, we're seeing a lot more women entrepreneurs in Arizona, women business leaders in Arizona, thank God. Our most influential women in Arizona can attest to that. But with that those added with that added wealth, what advice would you give to them in terms of like managing it and taking care of it? I know that a lot of women look at social responsibility as a piece of their financial planning. So what advice would you give to them?
I would say, I think sometimes financial entrepreneurial type women tend to look at their assets, believe it or not, as a burden, because it's just another something that they have to manage, something that they have to worry about, and they're really focused on their business, so they tend to ignore it. And I have seen a lot of female business owners keep a lot of cash. To Annabelle's point, and cash is a financial decision, but it's a decision that isn't going to keep up with inflation. So you're literally losing money by keeping it in cash. So instead of looking at it as a burden, I think it's important that women business owners think about it as a gift that they could be making towards things that they're passionate about, things that are important to them, more than male counterparts in general. Women tend to think of money and want to do good with money. They're more philanthropic. And so I think they should just look around them, what's important to them, what are they passionate about, and put their money to work there.
Okay, I'd like to close with having each of you give your one single best piece of advice that you could give to women about controlling their money, managing their money, and building their wealth going forward. Annabelle, we'll start with you.
I'd say for women, it's really important to take control over your own financial destiny and be an advocate for yourself. And it's never too late to get started, to get yourself on the track of where you want to go.
Okay, Margaret.
My advice would be a little bit selfish. Put yourself first. We as women tend to take care of our children. I know in my case, it was my children. It was my mother. We're that sandwich generation. I would say be selfish. Put yourself first. Because if you are financially self-sufficient, you will be a better caretaker for the ones you love.
Okay, Jackie.
I would say for women, they are very good at, kind of being conservative, but I would say just take that little bit of leap, since it does take us a little bit more to get us through everything. So just be a little bit more aggressive in getting through that retirement.
Margaret, one more question. I know a lot of people, some people tend to hesitate to seeking out help. How important is it for women and anybody when it comes to financial decisions? How important is it to seek out a professional for help?
Personally, I think it's critical. Although I'm in the industry, I've hired somebody to manage my money, my family's money, because in my current role, it's not something that I do every day. And I think, I know that managing a family's life savings is a full-time job, and it shouldn't be done on a part-time basis. And so whether you're male or female, unless that's your full-time job, I believe that you'll have better outcomes by hiring a professional. It's just like going to the dentist and trying to do your own root canal. Bad plan.
And if I might add to that, when we talked a lot about women and wealth, it's not just investable assets, it's taking stock of your whole financial picture. So to your point about philanthropy, for business owners, sometimes that's charitable intent, it's estate planning, it's beneficiary designations. There's a whole host of things that women need to think about as they're planning out for their financial futures. And hiring a professional, I think, is critical to make sure all of those aspects are covered as a woman when you're thinking about your wealth plan.
How important is it to look at that big picture? I know when a lot of us think about financial planning, we're thinking about retirement, but how important is it to look at that big picture, that holistic picture? Jackie, what do you think?
I know for our firm in general, we have a whole holistic approach. So when you come to us, you don't just get an advisor. We have an estate attorney in our office. We have a CPA. We have a mortgage consultant. We have a health insurance person. So we have the whole picture. And it is not uncommon as an advisor to get a call from a client saying, I really need my estate done. And we're like, well, we're not estate attorneys, right? But they know we have the connections. And for us, that's so important because they put so much trust in us and they know that we can give them the tools to get it all together.
Yeah.